been 9 years since I've used my powers.
And this city is getting more and more dangerous every moment.
Your powers were given to you for a reason.
I can't save the world, Gabby.
But you can save your piece of it.
Martin had a dream.
We all know this city is in a crisis.
Martin had a dream.
But this neighborhood is an oasis of hope.
All my
These are
life,
my
I
streets.
want money and power.
Black Lightning is dead.
Or die from last shot. I got 25 light on
It's
my
time that
dresser.
the people know
Yes, up a fire to the
Black Lightning is
hands
back.
on the stretcher. Thumbs at Maserati and vroom, vroom, I'm racing.
Thought you were done being a hero.
Brother needs all the exercise he can get.
Black Lightning series premiere Tuesday, January 16th on the CW.
Happy Festivus, everyone. We got lightning hands going all over the Arrowverse. I'll explain what's up with this new Dark Blitzkrieg Flash, as well as what's going on with Black Lightning, which is starting in January. There have been so many questions about what's going on with this new Dark Flash, who's called the Blitzkrieg Flash, who is Barry himself from Earth X, and why he didn't appear during the crossover episodes. Normally, the calculus that I use to explain big plot holes in crossover series is actually much easier to explain in this case. So the producers actually said what's going on with this animated series and why the characters are different, the continuity issues with the live-action version of the crossover. So then obviously we got all that Black Lightning stuff too, which is a little bit separate, but I'll explain how that's connected to the Arrowverse. But be sure to subscribe to get everything. And because it's the holidays, there is a new round of the Flash Ring giveaway that I'll explain at the end of the video. Starting with the Dark Flash first, so he's part of the new Reichsman. This is taking place before the events of the live-action crossover. It's taken from the animated Ray and the Freedom Fighters series. So there's a couple different versions of the Ray character, but for the most part, the characters that you see in this animated series are meant to be the same thing as the live-action versions of the characters. There's just a lot of continuity errors, because behind the scenes we found out that the producers just argued about how connected it should be to the live-action shows, because they had the idea for the animated series a long time before they'd nailed down the live-action crossover, which they actually did start earlier this year. So because it takes a lot longer to get animation out, they had to start that before they knew exactly how the live-action crossover was going to play out. So for the most part, they're calling this a prequel, and the inconsistencies in the Dark Flash, the Blitzkrieg Flash, and the Reverse Flash of the crossover will be explained in a comic book much, much later. So before they wipe it all under the rug, the simple explainer is that because this is taking place before the events of the live-action crossover, Dark Flash here, who's called the Blitzkrieg Flash, is killed by the Freedom Fighters in a big fight. Then the Reverse Flash shows up, alters their timeline, and that explains some of the continuity errors. They might take a different tactic when they try to explain why things are so different and what happened to Earth X Barry during the live-action crossover, but for the most part, Reverse Flash changing the timeline is the easiest way to do that. They haven't changed any of the way the characters' powers work. Obviously, this version of Barry would not be with Iris because they're all Nazis. The Fuhrer has been known to frown on people who are not of the Aryan race. This actually sounds like it's when Oliver has already become the Fuhrer, because they say that Hitler died during the 90s of old age. But for the most part, if you want to see more of him, there's only 6 episodes of this series, but it's just cool to see an alternate version of Barry. And at some point during the holiday season, I'll do a map of the multiverse and all the different versions of the Flash that we've seen so far. I'll do some sort of montage video. Those are always fun to make. But getting into Black Lightning, if you didn't know, the show is going to premiere after The Flash when that comes back January 16th. So normally Legends is after Flash every week. Black Lightning is taking that spot because Legends isn't coming back till February. I've already done a video explaining all these crazy schedule changes. I'll add a link to that at the end of this. But for the most part, Black Lightning has his comic book origin story, albeit with the typical Arrowverse changes. So they made it more contemporary. If you're familiar with the Riverdale school type setting, they've incorporated a lot of that, but it's more like characters out of the Superman universe done in the tone of Arrow, more of a dark, gritty, urban thriller, albeit with that family twist. So both of his daughters do have powers. So imagine a version of the West family if Joe West were a superhero and his children, Wally and Iris, both had powers. Now Wally does have powers because he's Kid Flash. But even though there's been all that speculation about Wally going on a different TV series like Titans or Legends of Tomorrow, I don't think that he's going to Black Lightning, but he would be one of the funny characters to cross over because of all the jokes you could make about the fact that they channel lightning-based powers and Wally gives off dark matter lightning. It'd be interesting to see what happens if they bring them for the crossover next year. The producers have been very cagey about how they're going to deal with that because this show shoots in Atlanta, so technically it's supposed to be connected to the Arrowverse, but they're not going to cross the shows over anytime soon, maybe not till season 2.
You know, if we are, I feel like the way that we have scaled up the crossovers over the years, like the first year was basically just Arrow versus Flash, and a couple people went to Central City, a couple people came to Star City. Next year it gets a little bigger with the introduction of the Legends. The next year, all of a sudden, it's 4 shows, and we have Melissa coming over to ours, and then this year, I really did enjoy in the first act how they just made the Dominators seem so last year, and just showed you the type of scale that that we were looking for this year. I personally think that I don't know how we scale up more, and I mean, like, unless all the productions shut down and I don't know, just shoot it like you would a feature film. But what you could do, I think, is you could make it a little bit more of a character-based story, and you know, maybe it's about, you know, 1 or 2 characters from each show, you know, being sequestered out somewhere. I don't know. I'm not a writer. I just say the words, and then after the fact, I critique them. But I certainly create nothing on my own.
If Stephen Amell is convinced that they're going to cross over at some point eventually, then it'll probably happen, but I wouldn't worry about that during season 1 of Black Lightning. Just assume that it exists by itself. So I will say, far and away, this latest trailer that they just dropped on Christmas Eve is so much better than the previous trailers. The music is better, the action is better, so I'm just much more excited after seeing the recent footage than I am after those first couple of trailers back at Comic-Con. But part of that is because they released those trailers right after they filmed the pilot, and typically TV shows need a couple episodes to figure themselves out. Even The Flash changed a little bit over the first half of season 1, and it's called the best season of The Flash so far, but it took a while to get there. So what'll happen in January is I will do a video for episode 1. I'll see how everybody feels about Black Lightning, and if it's popular enough on my channel, then I'll just keep doing weekly videos for the episodes. So no worries, we'll figure it out. But everybody, let me know in the comments, how do you feel about Black Lightning so far, even if you don't know anything about the character from the comics, which I will talk about when we start doing episode videos. I'll do comic book Easter eggs like I would normally do. There should also be some more Titans in the next couple of weeks. We'll probably find out what the other characters' costumes look like. Hopefully they look as cool as the Robin costume. Congratulations to the latest giveaway winner, J-Man Joestar. Please private message me so I can get your contact details. I'll just name a new winner the next time I post DC. Click here for that new Flash trailer and to learn about all the schedule changes. And click here for brand new Deadpool. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody stay awesome. I'll see you guys tonight.